Welcome, Transformer fans. My name is Composite Enerjoe, and today I'll be bringing you my review of the Transformers, Bumblebee the movie, Target exclusive, greatest hits. Don't worry, I'll shorten the title in post. Leader class Soundwave. And here he is in his alt mode, which is supposed to be a retro style boombox. And I'm going to be addressing this right now. This figure is pretty much the Titans Return Leader class Soundwave. It's that Soundwave, but with a darker color scheme and with some small but very much needed alterations to the mold. In particular, they're all the alterations are all cosmetic, and they mainly involve the alt mode here, his boombox mode, which is basically that these pieces here and these little decals here. And I think they also changed this a little bit too. But all these changes are supposed to make this thing a more realistic looking boombox. And I feel that helps the figure greatly. In fact, I consider this one the better of the two figures. Not that there was anything wrong with that first one, but I remember seeing it and I was like, I found the alt mode really off because I'm like, these were like blank. And it just didn't fully resemble a boombox, while this does. Which, I guess, funny story. A cousin of mine, I think, saw this. I had this on a shelf and he saw it. And he thought it was a genuine boombox, that he was trying to actually press the on button, and it was pretty funny. And I told him, no, man, that's just a toy. But yeah, apparently he said that this resembled the boombox that he had as a kid. So it did its job. So yeah, that's that's where the comparisons end. There is like another one when it comes with his little Titan Master, where they kind of changed, like they did some slight alterations there, but I'll show that off later. But yeah, so enough with the comparisons. Here is Soundwave in his alt mode. I said I prefer this one more so over the other one, mainly because of the alt mode, and I think I do like the darker color scheme. So yeah, here he is in his boombox mode, which is very nice, nicely detailed. You see the little stickers here, the working handle, and if you come to the back, I found some little Easter eggs here. I don't know if they're Easter eggs, but they're nice little details. If you look here, you'll actually see a little USB port, a headphone jack, and all the way over here, a power button. That is actually really cool that they molded that in. They didn't have to, but it's nice that they have that in there. And hold on, I want to see something. I want to see if this thing will actually fit. I got a USB right here, and holy crap, it actually works. All right, it's confirmed. It's a little tight, but if you really want to trick your friends, you can stick a USB into that slot. It is rather tight, but it does work. So I don't know if anyone else has actually tried that with the figure, but it is a kind of a somewhat functional USB. At least you can like shove it in there. It was a little tight with that one, but yeah, so enough of that. So yeah, and as you can see, his accessories, his weapons go here on his back like so. Which let's just take off now. Here's his here's his laser, and here is shoulder cannon or shoulder missile pod. So what else do I talk about? Oh, the other feature is this feature here, which is but the same in both modes. So I'm going to show it here. If you press this little button here, it reveals his little tape deck, which reveals this piece. The whole point of this piece is that you put the little Titan Master in there and you put it up here. And this also is part of his base mode, which I'll get to later. Which I'm not really going to show, but I'll explain why later. And I think what this is supposed to be is a remote. Because if you can see there, it has a little pause play button. So this is supposed to serve as like a little wireless remote for the boombox. Which, to be honest, this didn't exist with 80s ones. At least not that I can think of. Or at least not in this size. So this is just a carryover from the Titans Return one. And you can see there's like little blaster ports here for his base mode. And you just shove it in there. And like the Titans Return one, this figure is compatible with all of those Legend class Cassetticons. Like if you have the Titans Return Legend Laserbeak, it will fit in here. I don't have that Laserbeak, but I'm going to assume it does work because it's the same figure. They made no other changes that weren't cosmetic. So yeah. And speaking of Titans Return, before we get the transformation, I'm going to show you where I stored the Headmaster Doombox. And I put it in here. There's a little spot here where you can peg it in because there's no other place to really store him. I think the idea was to plug him in there and then put him in here, but for the life of me, it will not fit. It refuses to go in there, so it just didn't want to work. So here's a Doombox, and I'm not gonna say that I thought that up. That little spot there, I sort of give what's his name? Shardamus Prime. I saw his video on this figure, or at least on the other, I think on the Titan's Return Soundwave, to see for like comparisons. And he had the same problem where it couldn't fit in there, so he just put it in there. So I'm giving, I guess, some shout outs to Shardamus for giving me that idea, because it was a good one. And it's a great place to store this and to use the empty space in there. So yeah, here is Doombox, his little Titan Master, and it's basically just a mini Soundwave. Although his knees are Autobot Blaster for some reason. But yeah, here's sort of the other little difference. They, for some reason, sort of added these notches to his mouth plate. That's like the other difference outside of the darker color scheme. And I think they added more paint on this thing. But yeah, it's basically a mini Soundwave, so I'll put him to the side. So yeah, that's all I can really talk about his alt mode. So let's get on with transformation. And he's actually very simple. I'm surprised by how simple he is. So first things first, you pop these down, like so. Then you bring, well, first you lift up these flaps. You lift this down, push this down, and ignore these flaps. Oh, and if you're wondering, these flaps are for his base mode, which I'll explain later. I'm not gonna show it off, but explain later. Then you come in here, fold that down, and then you bring this up and connect it there. And then you make sure you line this up. Then this will peg into there, and then you bring this down and connect it in there, like so. Rotate forward, and then flip up his foot. So that's one leg, and then on this side, you just repeat it. Come on, like so. Make sure it's lined up. Peg in there, and peg in there. For some reason on mine, this joint is super loose. So I guess be aware if yours comes like that. So what I do, I just sort of push it a little more in to keep it stable. And there we have the legs. And that is honestly the hardest thing about the figure. Everything else is just push these down, flip up, flip out. And then before you fold this down, and you come in here and you reveal his helmet. And you reveal the helmet. So now we get the Doombox here. Fold them up. Like any other Titan Master or even Prime Master. Plug it in there. Make sure it's all lined up. And then put the helmet over. And there we go. And that's it. And to show it off, still works there. And there you have it. I was genuinely surprised by how simple the transformation is. So yeah, this is Soundwave in his robot mode, which was carried over from the Titan's Return one, and it still looks like an awesome representation of Soundwave. I am a huge fan of Soundwave, and I approve of this alt mode. I'll make sure you fold that back up. So this is very nice. Again, I didn't get it the first time around because it wasn't as good as it could have been. And honestly, I ended up getting this one just by chance, and this is the better one. So yeah, so on to articulations, I guess. His head is on a swivel. Arms can go 360, in and out on a nice ratchet, and a ratchety bend at the elbow, and if you really want, there is a little bit of wrist action. The legs can go that far forward, that far back, oops, in, out, bend at the knee, nice ratchety knee, swivel there at the thigh, and a little bit of an ankle pivot. This has an ankle pivot here, although this one is very loose for me, so I can't really utilize that. So just be aware if when getting the figure that this one might be loose. Again, it could just be mine. So yeah. So now for the accessories, we come with his shoulder cannon, which you just plug here, like so. And then the blaster, he just holds it in his hand, and done. And that's it. So yeah, Soundwave here is a nice solid figure. And for a leader class, he's super simple. It's really surprising how simple he is, which is good. Like, I don't need the figures to be super complicated. just not insultingly easy, and he's not it. And I kept mentioning it, he does have a carryover from the Titan's Return mold. He does have a base mode, and as you saw in his legs, he does have the connector so that you can make like a city. And Soundwave here, I'm not gonna show it off because honestly, this version is supposed to be like an 80s style, like a classic Soundwave with his boombox mode and everything. And I'm like, he didn't have a bass mode. So I'm not really gonna show that off. Maybe in a future video, I'll show off like with my other Titan's Return leader class figures. Maybe like connect them or something to make a city. Maybe I'll do that in a future video, but for now, I just wanted to show off his boombox, transformation, and robot, which are incredibly solid, and overall, nice figure, great figure. Highly recommended. It comes highly recommended from yours truly. It gets my seal of approval, whatever other accolades you want me to just make up on the spot for it. So yeah, very nice figure. For size comparisons, here we have Legion Cliff Jumper and Deluxe Ratchet, and he's pretty tall for a leader class. Still impressed. Well, he's a leader class. He's supposed to be big, but I have noticed that they kind of shrunk over the years, but he's still pretty bulky, which is nice. So yeah, what else do I have to say? Yeah, if I haven't given enough praise, this thing's a great figure. I think the only thing he's really missing is a waist, but because of his transformation, he doesn't have one, and I don't mind. So yeah, overall, great figure, solid figure. I consider this one to be the better of the two, mainly because of the more realistic looking alt mode. So yeah. So this has been my review of the, let me shorten the title, the Transformers Bumblebee movie leader class Soundwave. Leave it at that. This is a Target exclusive, or was a Target exclusive, and it had the subtitle called Greatest Hits. And if I remember correctly, only like 2 figures had that, which was this Soundwave repaint, and I think it was like a gift set which had 3 repaints of the 3 of his Cassetticons. So yeah. So the Transformers Bumblebee movie, the Transformers Bumblebee leader class Soundwave. This is Composite Enerjoe signing off. Peace out.